One. Hi everyone, this is YMP TV, and as you know, we have been doing those interviews with mining executive in this time of quarantine and COVID-19, just to hear a bit their thoughts on it. And today we have Regan Isenor, the CEO of MegumaGold Corp. Hi Regan, thanks for joining us.
Hey Bianca, thanks for having me.
Of course. So we're talking about COVID-19. One of the big questions is, how has COVID-19 impacted MegumaGold?
Well, I think for us, it delayed a bit of our field work, not to any great degree. I think luckily for us, we were kind of at the phase in our project where we were doing a lot of desktop studies, targeting work for the drill rig, modeling and permitting stuff. So it really actually gave us a chance to step back and kind of fine tune all that, so that when some of these restrictions due to COVID are lifted, we can get out in the field kind of with our feet running type thing. So it's not the end of the world. I think we could be doing some of the field work that we're not, but just for kind of precautionary reasons, we have taken that step back. But I don't think I don't see those restrictions lasting too much longer. And I think we'll be able to get out. And that, like I said, it gave us a chance to really fine tune some of the modeling, structural modeling that we wanted to get done. It gave us a chance to finish that up.
And outside of the field work, I know MegumaGold is in discussion with Osprey Gold Development, whereby in this transaction, MegumaGold would acquire 100% of the issued and outstanding shares of Osprey Gold. Can you explain how it was how the transaction was negotiated during this period, and did the crisis had any impact on due diligence, negotiation, and how such transaction would have normally taken place? Was everything done remotely?
Yeah, everything was done remotely. I mean, between the two groups, we each have a few people associated with the organizations here in Nova Scotia, and then a few out in Vancouver. So we had a pretty good relationship with them before this happened, and really the due diligence, we set up online data sharing rooms. We were able to do everything by similar to this, Zoom calls. We set up Microsoft Team groups. So from that perspective, it really, it wasn't affected at all. We got through it pretty good. I think we're on the final stretch of that process now, and hope to get that completed in the near future. But yeah, I think in terms of these online data sharing, group meetings, things like that, I think it was kind of an inevitability that the business world in general was moving in that direction. And this whole circumstance, or this whole situation with the COVID-19 just kind of expedited that process. So I think we're at a good place now where we're all able to share data online. We're all able to look at each other's screens. It was a pretty seamless process for us, so it didn't hold up that process at all.
And then do you think the financing of junior exploration company will change, or has it changed during this period?
I don't know if you can necessarily say it changed, other than the fact that, it's a different time for financing in general right now, because from a junior mining perspective, the world's kind of crashing around us in terms of the stock market, but there is a real movement for some of that capital into the gold space. So while you're seeing a lot of other industries really struggling, we haven't really had that the same effect, or not to that degree that some of the other industries have. So it's kind of a different space. You're seeing some of that stuff, especially in Canada for the last number of years. We had a real movement of capital into the cannabis space, and you're seeing that kind of transition from cannabis. A lot of those people are looking to get back into minerals, whether it's industrial or precious metals. And that kind of coincided with the whole COVID-19, where a lot of those people are really making that transition a bit quicker. So yeah, it's there is capital out there that's looking to be put into some of these gold companies, and I think that's helped us kind of buffer some of this the downfall of the whole pandemic situation.
So I guess you touch a bit on it, but just on a more macroeconomic level, do you think that as a result of the monetary and fiscal policy that we're seeing, all these money printing and lowering interest rate, do you think the demand for gold and gold prices will increase in the month and maybe the year to come?
Yeah, gold's the price of gold's a difficult thing to predict, but I think that our current situation, it's a pretty easy argument to make that we're going to see a multi-year bull run on gold. And as you say, current fiscal policy is just supporting that. And a lot of the big banks, some of the more credible sources are coming out and saying outright that there is going to be a multi-year bull run on gold, and that bodes well for us. And there's a bit of a trickle down effect when you see that happening. It typically, that process starts out where the majors really feel that, and they get a boost in their stock price. They see a little bit more capital flowing into their space. And as the thing moves and it kind of morphs organically, you start to see some of that capital trickle down to the juniors, and we're starting to see some of that effect now.
And do you think, I guess, like the mining industry or mining companies will operate differently in a post-COVID world?
In general, I mean, there's only so many adjustments you can make from the actual operations on the ground. As we kind of talked about before, I think people now have the infrastructure in place to work remotely, and that's, like I said, that was something that I think was going to happen regardless. And mining being an international industry, we work with people all over the world. We already had a bit of that in place, but no, I think it just gave us a bit more of a presence online in terms of our communications, our data sharing and things like that. But the stuff on the ground, I mean, you might down the road see a bit of a difference in how some of the mines operate in terms of social distancing, but there's really only so many adjustments you can make from that aspect.
And Regan, as a mining executive, what advice would you give to young professionals who are starting their career right now, or even to those who are thinking about joining the industry?
Yeah, well, from an industry point of view, it's an industry that the world is reliant on, and always will be, whether it's industrial minerals for manufacturing or it's precious metals as a store of wealth. The global economy is always going to be reliant on it, so it's not going anywhere. That being said, it is cyclical. It's almost like a stability in its cycles, where it will go up and down, but it'll always be there. For the young people coming in, I think if you show real value to the companies you work for, to some of the exploration groups, then you'll always have a place in the industry, and you'll always be able to find work. And that value has to you have to keep up with your professional skill sets. There's always people that the rocks don't change, but the methods for exploring them, whether it's the new modeling techniques, the new GIS databases, whatever it is, the people that keep up with that professional development, they're the ones that always seem to stick around and have a place in the industry.
And any last piece of advice for investors out there, including our millennial members?
Yeah, well, I think it's like anything. When you get into it, the old adage is you have to do your own due diligence. Listen to other people that have experience in it, but at the end of the day, you have to do your own research, and you have to understand the financials of companies. You have to. It's almost like learning a new language. The easiest way to do it is immerse yourself in it. So you kind of dive in. I wouldn't dive in with too much capital at first, but once you're immersed in it, it's just something that you absorb, and you learn that way, kind of organically, like learning a language in a different city.
Well, thank you, Regan. I mean, that was like all the questions I had for you today. So thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us and our members, and please stay safe.
Okay, thank you, Bianca. You too.
Take care.
Okay, bye.